Hi, everyone. I'm Ashleigh Banfield, and welcome to Drop Dead Serious. The jury has spoken. Judgment has been rendered. And to the surprise of virtually nobody, Lori Vallow stinks as a lawyer. She failed big time. She failed to get her client acquitted of charges that she conspired to murder her fourth husband 6 years ago. That Maricopa County jury in Arizona took less than 3 hours to find Lori Vallow guilty. 2 hours, 57 minutes, and 58 seconds to be exact, but who's counting? I was, because I thought it'd be under an hour. But I do have the moment for you where Lori, acting as her own lawyer, found out what a fool she has for a client.
Do you find the defendant, Lori Daybell, as to the crime of count 1, conspiracy to commit first-degree murder occurring on or about July 11, 2019, guilty? Signed, foreperson. Is this your true verdict, so say you one and all?
Yes.
On the court's own motion, I'll go ahead and ask the clerk to poll the jury.
Juror number 1, is this your true verdict?
Yes.
Juror number 2, is this your true verdict?
Yes.
Juror number 6, is this your true verdict?
Yes.
Juror number 7, is this your true verdict?
Yes.
Juror number 8, is this your true verdict?
Yes.
Juror number 9, is this your true verdict?
Yes.
Juror number 10, is this your true verdict?
Yes.
Juror number 11, is this your true verdict?
Yes.
Juror number 12, is this your true verdict?
Yes.
Juror number 13, is this your true verdict?
Yes.
Juror number 15, is this your true verdict?
Yes.
Juror number 16, is this your true verdict?
Yes.
What might be the most unbelievable thing in this trial happened after it was all over. And that's that jurors, as they were leaving the courthouse, some of them actually said they had no idea that the woman they just convicted of murder had already killed 3 people, including her own 2 kids, and that she had been on trial for it and convicted of it. I mean, think about it. They sat there for 2 weeks listening to this woman pitching her own case to them, talking about her husband and her daughter Tylee and how much she loved JJ and took care of him. And all the while, they had no idea she had murdered those kids, right? It's pretty shocking. At this point, I'm guessing, and I'm talking to you just a few hours after the verdict here, I'm guessing that some of these jurors went home and started Googling. And then they'll find out who Tammy Daybell is. Then they'll find out that guy that she was shtupping, the guy she was cheating on her husband with, Chad Daybell. That guy had a wife who turned up murdered. And Lori was tried and convicted of being a part of that killing, being a part of that murder. She's locked up for life, no parole in Idaho because of killing Tammy Daybell, killing Tylee Ryan, and killing JJ Vallow. Imagine the jurors right now, even as I say this, finding out all this stuff, and even imagining for a moment they had a question of a doubt as to whether she was a killer of her husband, Charles, as well. Right? Here's what some of the jurors said outside the courthouse when they were absolutely surrounded by all the media and the streamers and the curious who just wanted to know what they knew and what they didn't. Of course, the waiting press was dying to know, what was it? What happened in this trial that made you vote guilty? What was the evidence you found overwhelming beyond a reasonable doubt? And they actually listed out several things. They listened. They really listened because it was top of mind for all of them. As they were questioned, they could tell you exactly which pieces of evidence, which issues with Lori Vallow did they find troubling that made them realize she's a murderer.
You have been released, but I'm not going to tell you what to say, of course. Walking out now, I think you're knowing how high profile this case was.
It was very,
What's going through your head?
sadness. It's sad. Oops, I'm sorry. It's just sad that, this has happened to Charles, and she's given up her life as well. It's sad.
What did you think of her defending herself? Anything that went through the jury's head with that?
Well, for me personally, I thought, what does she have to lose? Guilty or not guilty? What does she have to lose?
So were any of you folks aware that this woman had already been
I had never been
convicted
heard.
of
I have never heard
3
of her.
homicides?
Yeah, no,
And
I've
the
never
jurors
heard of her
did not
before.
know that.
No, I did not.
And
I
nobody
don't
brought
think,
it.
Did you
And
didn't
ma'am,
know?
would you want to come in and talk too?
You wanna say
Do you want to say
anything?
anything?
Just what,
Yeah, what was your
There's a lot of
experience like,
backstory here, and this woman had already been convicted of 3 homicides, and they obviously didn't want you folks to know that. Nobody knew that during your deliberations.
No.
Is that correct?
Correct.
Well,
What was this experience like for you?
It was sad, as he said. For me, it was the text messages that did it, as far as evidence. And I feel like we uncovered some lies.
you
So-
think
Knowing now that she was convicted of killing her 2 children in Idaho,
I haven't had a chance to Google everything. I'm sure as soon as we get on the shuttle. So might have more to say later.
was that difficult going through this and not
Yes,
being able
it
to be
was.
disconnected?
Yeah.
What
It
do you-
just
do you
felt
think
like
she-
there was a lot of information that didn't make sense and that was missing.
Do you think she did herself any favors by
No.
defending herself?
No,
You were not impressed with her
No.
lawyering skills?
no.
What did you think of her behavior during cross-examination? The way that at one moments she was argumentative with some of the witnesses.
Many days she just was like smiling and laughing and didn't seem to take anything very seriously.
How much of that? How much of that did that play into a factor into the decision?
It did.
Were you hoping to hear her testify? Were you hoping to
Yes,
hear her
I
call
was.
witnesses?
I was.
And what about you?
I didn't understand why she didn't call anyone else.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I don't get
Or why she didn't have I know she made a statement about the only family that was interviewed was her estranged brother, and why wasn't her parents or her sister? But yet she didn't call them. So,
Yeah, I mean, in saying that, she is not obligated to prove her innocence.
exactly.
Recognize she didn't have to put on.
She knew.
Right,
yeah,
right.
she knew.
Was the fact that she didn't put up a defense or take the stand in her own defense part of your deliberation at all?
It was all evidence. It was all evidence that was
Yeah.
produced and presented to us.
Sorry if this was asked. What would you say the biggest piece of evidence for you guys as a jury was when you came to the decision?
Well, for me, like her, it was text.
The
Texts
text
were damning.
history.
What specifically about the text?
Oh, there were so many.
Yeah, there was.
I mean,
there
we
was
had
2 of them for
pages.
me that really stood out.
Can you tell us which ones?
The
Um,
Nephi.
Yeah, that was one of them. Soon you will be Nephi, and so will I. So that was one of them. But I don't know if I should say anything else.
We heard so much about dark spirits and religion and how this all plays into it. I mean, as a jury, what's going through your head when you start hearing that in court?
For me, that didn't really play a big role because you have to have evidence of conspiracy, and that is not evidence of conspiracy to me.
Was
Say
it-
somebody is
Was it
possessed.
unusual for you guys to see? I mean, you're talking about her brother Alex, the guy who actually did was the trigger man. So many players were referenced in this trial, and you never saw them. You never heard from
Correct.
them. That had to be confusing when
It
you
was
guys got
very
back in the
confusing.
jury room. Yeah.
Yeah, it was very confusing.
What did how
It
did-
just
what did-
felt like there was so much of the story that was missing.
Did she have any valid arguments, like anything that made you think maybe she's not guilty?
Do you want to answer? I can't think of any.
You know, honestly, up until yesterday, I would have said not guilty. But when the prosecutor, I don't know, what do they call that? When they give their
The
say their
closing
yeah.
argument.
Yes, the closing
Connected
argument.
the
That's
dots.
really, there's a few things she said in there, and then when I looked them up today, I was like, oh yeah, that's bad.
You were still on the fence yesterday.
I was yesterday. Yes.
Give us a sense of what it was like to be in that jury room. Was there any a point that someone was disagreeing, saying that maybe she is not guilty?
Yes.
Were you guys?
There was
all-
a couple.
And what was that like? Walk us through that.
It's just a matter of, adults working things out and going through all the evidence and figuring out, what we thought, what we were going to come to an agreement with. So.
To learn now that everyone that was in that house that day, minus daybell, is all not with us anymore, is dead or has been killed. I mean, what is that like to hear as jurors walking out?
Sad. Like, I kept wanting to hear from Tylee.
Did you ever ask the judge why aren't they here? Or...
No. And the one witness that really got to me was hearing Kay. I was holding back my emotions.
Well, what was one of the biggest factors in your decision today?
One of the biggest factors was probably when we were sitting there, whenever they would ask a question about the Mormon stuff and all that, she would just kind of look at us and smile and smirk. So it kind of gave it away for a lot of it, just kind of didn't really care.
What were those conversations like in the jury room? I mean, going back and forth when everyone was deliberating. Can you kind of put us inside that room with you?
Let's see. It was kind of, so a lot of us already knew. A couple of us just needed the extra, we needed to re-look back through the evidence, the text messages and all that. So it was a little bit of back and forth, but all of us were pretty sure we already knew what we wanted.
Was there one piece of evidence that really convinced you she was guilty?
Probably when she said that he was Ned before they got rid of him. That was probably the part where we were like, okay, now it's real. Yes.
When did you learn that?
At the end, when we first were walking out. Everyone was talking about it, and we got told to look up her previous stuff so that we were aware.
In that jury room, this woman's been convicted of 3 homicides. You guys didn't know that. You
We
were
did not.
unaware. None of you guys knew that.
Correct, yeah.
No.
Yep.
And then hearing all the missing pieces in the trial, the people who didn't testify, you had really, there were a lot of holes when you went into the jury room that were not explained to you. That must have made it more difficult.
It did, which is why we went back through everything just to make sure we didn't miss anything, to make sure that we were 100% on what we were choosing to do.
Was there anything that made you think she might not be guilty?
No. I think probably 10 out of 12 of us were certain. The other 2, we helped them go back to what they needed to learn to kind of make up their mind. And then, we just kind of went from there. Being that calm when everything happened, it's not something that you would normally be calm about. You'd expect to be sad, asking how your brother's doing since he was the one that got injured during it too. She didn't do any of that. She already knew it happened and she just went with it like that.
Did you want her to testify?
I guess, I don't know. Yes, seeing Charles's sister's reaction when they did say she pled guilty was really relieving. It made all of us feel really good that they got justice.
Do you plan to go watch a bunch of stuff about this case now, or are you over
Yes.
it? Yeah.
I believe we're told that there's a Netflix documentary, and you can basically just Google it, everything will pop up. So that's probably what I'm gonna do when I get home.
You're gonna die.
Yeah. I told my grandma that I got requested for jury, and she asked if I know anything about it. I told her the name, and her jaw dropped. Like, I was supposed to know who she was. Like, she thought it was insane that I didn't know what was happening, but I just moved here 2 years ago as of March, so I didn't really know anything to begin with, but my grandma did, and she thought I was just crazy for not knowing.
Where'd you live previously?
Minnesota. Yeah, and I actually see her tonight too, because my mom just flew in from Minnesota, so I'm gonna go see them after this, and we're probably gonna watch everything.
One more really idiosyncratic aspect of Arizona law, and I did not know this until the judge actually explained it from the bench, is that it wasn't enough just to have the guilty verdict and then go to sentencing. They actually had another phase, an aggravation phase, where the jury would have to agree to the aggravating factors of this crime, very much like you see in a death penalty case, because in a death penalty case, you'll get a guilty verdict, then you'll have a second mini trial, right? And they weigh all the aggravators and mitigators in that second aggravation trial, the death phase, right? That same thing was going to happen in Lori's case. They were going to have to put some evidence out on the table and have the jurors decide if Lori qualified for the aggravators. The weird thing is that the sentence is the same whether she qualifies for the aggravators or not, but they just have to do it on the record. And when it came to this part, Lori kind of surprised everybody by saying, what's the point? Can I just stipulate to this? Meaning, I'm not going to argue any of this stuff. She actually articulated it from defense table. What's the point? Isn't the penalty the same anyway? It's the same sentence whether these aggravators are proved or not. So I'm just going to stipulate to them, right? Let me just tell you what they were. Did the victim's family members suffer emotional and or physical and or financial harm? And we know they did, right? We know they did. Did she have an accomplice? These are two of the things that they would have had to debate and argue and actually present some evidence in court. And Lori just wasn't having any of it. She stipulated to it. But the judge said, let's be real clear here. Because if you do that, you don't get a mulligan, right? If you want to appeal later on, you don't get to do that. If you stipulate, it's over. And she just said, yeah, fine. By the way, she was quite rude about it. Meanwhile, you've got prosecutors saying, yes, Your Honor. And you've got Lori saying, baloney like that. But she did. And I was talking to Lindsay Holler. She's the producer of this podcast. She was in the courtroom. And she thinks that maybe Lori just didn't want family members of Charles Vallow getting up there and spewing everything they couldn't say during the evidentiary part of this case. Maybe she just wanted to try to get out while the getting was good, put her tail between her legs and get out of there without any more damage. It's possible. Or she was just sick of it. And what does she have to lose anyway? She's already locked up for life in Idaho, right? So maybe she just had enough. So that was the end. She stipulated. They basically closed the records. Everything is on the record. And they dismissed the jurors. And that's when the jurors walked out of the courtroom and started learning all the awful that is Lori Vallow, And like I said before, that awful is going to continue as they continue to learn about her history. So it's, I would say it's all over but the crying, but it's not. There is still more crying. It's a weird way of saying there's yet another trial. If you are new to the Lori Vallow story, buckle up. We have another trial because Lori's accused of conspiring with her brother, Alex Cox, not just to kill Charles Vallow, but to take out Lori's niece's husband because her niece was divorcing that husband. His name is Brandon Boudreau. And one day in his driveway, suddenly he was the subject of a drive-by and shots started to ring out, ping, 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 hitting his car, but not hitting him, thank God. But that is what you call officially in legal terms an attempted murder. And so Lori has another trial coming. And it's actually in just a few weeks. There is an attempted murder trial for the attempt on Brandon Boudreau's life. Now, is she going to represent herself? My guess is yes. I think she loves this crap. I think she loves to be the center of attention. And actually, a little aside here, one of the things, if you were in the courtroom, the judge, upon hearing the verdict of the jury, asked each and every member of the jury, is that your true verdict? It's called polling the jury. It's a smart thing to do. It should happen in every trial. Sometimes it doesn't, and that's why we're in Karen Reed right now, because they didn't poll the jury. But they poll each and every juror to find out if that's their verdict. And each and every one of these 12 jurors was so emphatic, like hell to the yeah. They didn't say that, but it really sounded that way in their voices. They were very emphatic that yes, indeed, that is my effing verdict, right? And as we got like one after the other, you could see Lori looking over with her little cutesy, like, really? Look at me. And then eventually she didn't bother. Then she was like, whatever. I don't need to hear it. I don't need to hear it anymore. She turned off the cutes. Lori Vallow turned off the cutes. She realized right then and there, it is over, sister. You are not going to get through to any of these dudes, and certainly not to the girls on the jury. You're not getting through to any of them. They're not having any of your bullshit. And you could see her turn off the cutes. Like, even from the back of her head, you could see it. She's so manipulative. Anyway, so yeah, we'll be back to check in on the Brandon Boudreaux case, but here's my prediction. I'm going to go on the record. She's going to be guilty of that one too. That's an easy one. If it was easy to get her on this one, I think it's going to be easy to get her on the Brandon Boudreaux as well. Hey, everybody, thanks so much for listening. Please don't forget, I always love hearing your comments. I like to hear what you like, what you don't like. I also like to hear if you want to hear me doing more coverage on particular stories of your liking. So you put those in the comments, and we read every single one of them. And then I always like to tell you this. Please don't forget, the truth isn't just serious. It is drop dead serious.